Hello, everybody. Queen Lenore. Just want to hit up. I talked to my nephew. He said I need to talk about communication. And even though he knows I talked about communication, it's very important. So I was thinking, okay, communication, communication, communication. We know how important communication is. But I don't think we understand, like, arguments. What is the thing with arguments? That is the thing that we have to master, is arguments. So let me explain. Argument is I'm arguing with you. I want you to understand me, and I want you to agree with me. And you're going to say, you want me to understand you, and you want me to agree with you. But we're not willing to understand each other and say, okay, you believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, and let's just work on how we can make each other comfortable in the stance, or how can we combine what we agree on? Or can we find the common ground in this argument? So there's all these different levels, but it's so important to understand that. I've been married to my husband for 20 years, going on 21. And I can tell you right now, we don't have a lot of arguments. And a lot of that is because when we argue about the situation. And that's it. We're not bringing up old situations. We're not bringing up stuff that's in the past. If we're going to talk about the stuff in the past, we talk about that on another time, on good terms, whatever. But if we're going to discuss an issue, we discuss that issue. And either one of us is going to say, you know what? Okay, whatever. And we do it. This time we argue and we walk away and don't talk to each other for a good 20 minutes. And then we start talking to each other because it's like, it's a stupid argument. Because we get the concept of what arguing is. And I think we learned that when we were dating. My husband, I remember me and him got in a big old argument. And his thing is, okay, you win. You're right. You're right. And I was like, I'm not telling you all this to be right. I just want you to understand what I'm saying. I just want you to understand my point of view. It doesn't matter who's right or wrong, because if we're not happy, regardless if I won the argument, I still lost. No matter if you won the argument, you still lost, because we're not connected, and it could pull us slowly apart. So we learn going to marriage counseling to argue about what the situation is and nothing else. And then if we need to talk about other stuff, then we talk about it later. But in that argument at that time, whatever, if we're arguing about when our kids are able to date, that's where we're going to be staying out. We're not going to be going talking about, and then you let the kids go outside and play. That has nothing to do with this argument right now. It's a focus on what the argument is. And I'm more of the hard person. Like, I'm just going to have to say it. I'm more of the hard ass. I am. I'm not even going to lie. That's just who I am. And my husband's more of the laid back, chill type of person. I'm more of the argumentative person, and he's not. So, but at the same time, even though I might be the argumentative type, I still want him to understand. I still want him to know I love him. I still want him to understand I care about him. I still want, no matter what the argument is, it doesn't break us. It's not going to tear us apart. Matter of fact, we're closer than ever. So I can literally say in my 20 years, we've probably been married for 20 years, but we probably argued like a major argument, probably like 4 or 5 times. How many arguments have we majorly had, Chris?
4 or 5.
So he said the same thing, 4 or 5. We had little tiny arguments, but nothing that like, they're like 5 minutes. They're little tiny arguments to us, to other people is a normal conversation. So that's just how it is. So it's those things that you really want to understand and get. I'm sorry, I'm trying to find a good glare. I'm not a good glare. Get me out of the glare. And then, I can't hardly see. So communication takes time and understanding. There's so many levels of communication, and arguments is one of the levels of communication. I will talk to you about the next level the next time I come on here. But now we have communication. We talked about arguments, how to deal with arguments. We're going to only argue about whatever we're mad about at this moment. We're not going to argue about anything else. We're not going to bring our mama, daddy, cousin, sister, brother, anybody else into this argument. It's just us. Like, my mama told me about she did it. No. We ain't going to do that. My daddy already said no, we ain't doing all that. We ain't bringing nobody else in the argument. We ain't calling nobody. Aren't I right? You know I'm right. Tell them. We ain't doing that. The argument is between you and that other person and nobody else. And you guys need to figure it out, and figure out as an adult, and understand and listen and communicate, and understand that you have a right to your opinion. And so does the other person. So keep that in mind. And especially you married people, and especially people who just got married, understand communication is very much the key, and learn how to argue correctly. You got to learn how to argue correctly. If you don't know how to argue correctly, that's where it elevates to another level. And then you do a lot of things that you can't take back. And it's always going to be in the back of your partner's mind. And it's hard to get that out of their mind. It can be 40 years later and you're still holding on to, you said you can't stand my mama and I look like a hoe. That will stay in the person's mind. I'm just giving out examples, not saying these things happen, but I'm just saying, or you called out her name, called the girl a bitch, or you called him, what's a lower class name for a guy? I don't know, a punk. And that stays in their mind because you never know what was their trigger when they were younger. You never know what could have pissed them off to that. So you went so below the belt that now that's sticking in his head, and now he's looking at you like everybody else. Or she's looking at you like everybody else because you treated her like everybody else. You treated him like everybody else. So when you argue, you just stay in a neutral ground. We're going to argue about the situation, and I'm going to understand whatever you want me to understand, I need to understand it. And whatever I want you to understand, you need to understand it. And then we come to a common ground to learn how to work with it and deal with it. We do not have to agree with each other in that part, but we do need to agree that we will try to find a common ground. That is marriage communication and any other relationship communication. I will talk to you later. Remember to love and live each day as if it were your last, because tomorrow's not promised. Matter of fact, the next 5 minutes isn't. So everybody that's in your life is a meaningful person for you. And to be able to communicate and argue with love and understanding and caring and being patient with one another is so important. So remember that. And have a blessed day. Smooches.